camera gear. And you know what that mean? That mean we's going on location. Yes, I am up in Santa Barbara County, and this is not my house. I don't live here. This is my future in-laws' place. And I like to come up here every few weeks or so, largely so that my lady can come see her horse, who also lives here. I mean, doesn't live in the house, it lives down the street in a house for horses, a horse house, stable, as it's more commonly known. In the course of my visits up here, I've come across some pretty promising photo ops. I found this scene that I just fell in love with as soon as I saw it. It's this old, standalone liquor store that I've been dying to photograph ever since I saw it. So yeah, that's what we're doing here. We're coming to photograph a liquor store, because that's the kind of guy I am. But the last time I was here, I actually scouted out this liquor store a little bit for potential angles and compositions to do. I had my Polaroid SX-70 with me because I travel with that sometimes. And I actually took some like scouting Polaroids. There's also some really awesome old hotels and old signage along this same street. And I got a few Polaroids of that too. But when I saw this liquor store up close, I knew immediately that I wanted to do some panoramics of it, some 6x17. So on this trip, I brought my beloved Shen-Hao TFC 617A so I could shoot some panoramics of this bad boy. Now I want to shoot this liquor store at dusk, twilight hours. Not full nighttime, not daytime, but right in that sweet spot, magic hour, where it's not completely dark yet, but the lights have turned on. But today, and while I'm waiting for dusk, I'm gonna scout the location. I'm gonna figure out my exact compositions. That way I'm not wasting any time when I get there in the evening. And I'm not even gonna bring my camera with me to do the scouting. I'm going to scout it just with my eyes and an app on my phone that I'm gonna show you. It's gonna help me figure out exactly where to put my tripod later. But for now, I'm gonna load up some film because I don't want to be fumbling around loading up film when I get there tonight. I just want to be able to set up, shoot, once the light is perfect. And this also isn't my car. So thanks, in-laws. I better buckle up and get comfortable because this drive, it's gonna be long. Okay, I lied, we're here. It's just right around the corner. Look at her. She's glorious. God, I can't wait to shoot this building. It's gonna photograph so well, especially at night with those lights coming out. But right now, I just need to scout my compositions. Now, I don't have my camera with me because trying to figure out compositions with the camera itself is very slow. I'm gonna show you, there's this really awesome app you can get called Mark II Artist Viewfinder. It's about 28 bucks on the App Store, last I checked. And this thing is incredible. Basically, you can select the film format you're planning on using, or digital, or movie, or whatever. It has almost every camera you can imagine built into it. You select your camera, and then it shows you frame lines of what each focal length would look like on that given format. So I can, for instance, go to my 6x17 camera, and put in all the focal lengths I have, and I can see what each one of those focal lengths looks like just using my phone. If it doesn't have the camera you have, or doesn't have the film format you use or anything like that, you can just put in a custom one by measuring the film itself and then putting it in as a custom camera. It's got a lot of cool features like a one-click black and white mode, so you just click it and you're looking in monochrome. My iPhone 6S, its lens is equivalent to about 31 millimeters in 35 millimeter format, so you can't see any wider than that. But it has this awesome feature where you can get one of those clip-on wide-angle lenses for your phone and tell the app you're using that, and it will adapt to it and go even wider than normal. And I have this clip-on wide-angle lens from Amazon, 30 bucks on Amazon. You get a wide-angle lens and a macro lens. It's made by Aoki. I'm gonna go with Aoki. And I'm gonna clip this over my camera's lens on my phone. And then with one click, you go into wide mode, and suddenly you have wider focal lengths available. I can go all the way down to my 90mm in my Shen-Hao 6x17, which is awesome because 90 is super wide, and this wide angle lens allows me to see what that's actually going to look like. So highly recommend it. And that's what I'm going to be using today to figure out my composition. I can tell you right now, I'm definitely doing a straight on, because that's originally what I wanted to do, was a straight on, wide panoramic, right down the middle, symmetrical, because come on, you know me. Of course I'm doing a straight on right down the middle. But I'm going to see if there's a couple other interesting angles, and if I'm moving quick enough at dusk, I might be able to squeeze off 2 separate compositions if I'm lucky. But if I go home with 1 good composition, that's good enough for me. But let's see what we can scope out, what we can scout using my handy little app here. Yeah, it looks like 115mm rodent stock's going to come in handy. Looks good from right there. Oh yeah. 90mm from right here. That's the money shot. Oh God, I can't wait. Okay, I know I said I just want to shoot this at dusk, but I found 2 compositions I like so damn much that I'm gonna run back, get my camera gear, and come do those 2 compositions in daytime light. So that way I got both. The shadows on the building right now are so great. All these little subtle, long shadows from the high sun. It's gonna look awesome. So far, no guff from the liquor store owner. Hoping it stays that way, knock on wood. So I'm tweaking this composition just a little bit from what I scouted. The scouting picture had the light pole, but I'm not going to include the light post on this daytime shot because, well, it's daytime. But I think at night, that light post is going to look pretty cool. Yeah, it's going to be tasty. Tasty, tasty, tasty pictures. All right, I will not be bracketing this because I'm pretty confident with my exposure. And I know you guys have been asking, can you do a video on your metering process? Someday, kids, someday. A lot of it is I really want to teach it right. I don't want to half-ass it. So putting out a little 5-minute free YouTube video on how to meter ain't gonna cut it. I want to do it right. It's gonna be like a full-on course. So that'll be coming at some point. Eventually, someday. The exposure settings, by the way, are f22 at 1/30th. And right on cue, a car pulls in front of the store. Awesome. Have to wait for that. I'll be honest with you, I think the straight on I'm gonna do after this is, that's gonna be the winner. That's gonna be the moneymaker. All right, so once this car moves, I'm gonna do 2 exposures, same exposure settings, same composition, same everything. Just wanna have a duplicate. Just in case something happens to the first negative, some sort of damage, I got a backup. All right, she's gone. I certainly don't consider this a bad picture, but I don't really think it's the best possible lighting and composition for this subject. I felt I could do better. All right, let's go get centered. Because you know how I am. For this one, to switch to my 90mm. Which I will also have to use a center ND on to even out the vignette. The center ND takes away 1 2/3 of a stop. So to compensate for that, I have to add 1 2/3 of a stop of exposure. Easiest way to do that is to lower my ISO on my meter 1 2/3 of a stop. So I'm using an ISO 160 film. I'm gonna drop it down to ISO 50. Should be the same settings, or the same metering as last time, just new settings. Yep, okay, cool. So for this, because of the center ND, we're going a little longer on the exposure. I'm going to do f22 and 1/8 at 1/8 of a second. All right. All right. Oh man, my brain's getting fried. f22 and 1/3 at 1/8 of a second. All right. We're good. Let's do it. Yes, that's much more like it. So this composition was the exact shot I had pre-visualized when I first saw this building. Now it's not in that dusk light like I had originally planned, but something about this harsh midday sun actually kind of works on this subject. That's a wrap for daytime shots. So I will be back here for dusk. All right, we are back for dusk. It's about 20 minutes until sunset, and then I probably got another 10, 15 before the dusk light is real good. But I get the distinct feeling that I'm gonna get greedy tonight, and I'm gonna try and get two compositions, the same two compositions I got earlier. I'm probably gonna try and get both of them at dusk, which is a tall order. It's asking a lot. And you know, it's just a gamble because there's just not a very big window during dusk. It's maybe 10 minutes. So getting two compositions on this big slow camera, it's asking a lot. All right, but I know me, and I'm gonna get greedy. I've decided to start with the head-on composition for a couple reasons. Number one, that's the one I'm more interested in. But number two, it takes a little longer to set up because I have to use that center ND. And getting it perfectly aligned for a straight on takes a little more care and effort. So I want to make sure I do the more time-consuming one first. That way, in the event I do try and get two compositions, the second one will be quicker and easier. And now I just have to hope and pray that no one parks right in front of me. That'll be good. Pretty sure this whole building is sagging right down the middle. Looks like an old mattress. All right, now we wait. To be honest, I'm pretty worried about metering this scene because it's backlit and dusk and low exposure values, and that all makes it difficult. Ooh, center ND. Almost forgot. Ah, there we go. Light turned on. Look at it, it's half burnt out. Can this building get any more awesome? Can it be any better? If that light was fully working, this would lose like 1,000 points on the awesome scale. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Sunset was about 3 minutes ago. So it's gonna be prime light in maybe 10 minutes. 7 minutes. So for the metering here, I'm doing something a little different. Basically, I've metered the light coming through the windows. So in other words, I have a correct exposure worked out for the artificial light coming through the windows. And then what I'm doing is I'm just checking the sky every minute or so, seeing if the sky is coming out the exposure I want. In other words, I want to see if the sky lines up on the meter where I want it to, using the exposure settings I plan on using for the artificial lights. So basically, I have the correct exposure for the interior. Now I'm letting the sky darken until it matches the exposure that I want to use. Okay, I know this one is a little too early, but I'm getting antsy. We're doing f16 at 8 seconds, which, factoring in reciprocity, it's going to be 15 seconds. This is exactly what I had visualized. The light came out as beautiful as I had hoped. The straight on composition with the symmetry right down the middle, no cars cluttering it up. It just all came together perfectly. And there's incredible resolution in this negative. Not only can you read the logos on the potato chip bags just inside the door, but if you zoom in on the negative, you can actually see my very favorite element to this entire picture. The manager sitting behind the counter. He held still long enough to burn into my film without too much motion blur. Him sitting in there all by his lonesome, waiting for the next customer to come in, added an element to this picture that I could not have possibly planned for. It's everything I hoped for and more. I was using my hand to block the light from the street light right here. Didn't want to get any lens flare. I may bracket this just a bit because I'm not feeling too confident about my metering. Just because it's so freaking dark. Yeah, we'll do F11 at 15 seconds. Okay. No, do not park here, do not park here, do not park here, do not park here. You have got to be... Are you kidding me? I cannot believe this is happening right now. One exposure. I got one exposure. Unfreaking believable. There's cash driving my wallet. Pay's gotta move. Hey man, I'm sorry to bother you. Can I pay you 20 bucks to park somewhere else? I'm trying to take a picture of a building here. Yeah, I'll give you 20 bucks.
I'll just move. No, you don't have to pay me. I'll just move over there.
You sure? Let me give you something, man.
No.
Let me buy you dinner or something.
What's going on?
I'm just taking pictures of the building. I'm an artist.
Is it news?
No. Just kind of fun stuff. Thank you. I really appreciate it.
You don't have to.
Come on, let me buy you dinner.
Well, I am going to go have some lunch
All
over there.
right. Go eat. Thanks, man. I appreciate it. All right. Whoo, nice guy. He offered to move the truck without me paying him, but I insisted. Now I gotta get all these yahoos to move out of here. Come on, Dodge, get out of here. Come on, Dodge, come on, Dodge. Beat it. I can't believe this. Oh my God. Come on. The light is fading so fast. Screw it, I'm doing it with the car. I'm sure glad that first exposure came out as well as it did, because as much as I like this shot too, I feel like that car really breaks up the composition and kind of distracts from the mood I'm trying to capture. Okay, all right. I'll tell you, man, I don't think I've ever felt less confident about the photos that I'm working on. Exposures are tough. Cars where I don't want them. Feels like a disaster. It is so difficult to see the composition this time of night. The ground glass is just so dark. All right, we're gonna make it happen. We're gonna make it happen. Okay. Jeez, here goes nothing, man. Okay, we're doing F16 at 4 seconds, and then I am going to bracket. I think 4 seconds is 6 seconds on portrait. That's the reciprocity. I'm gonna have to double check. I think this is just a hair past the prime lighting to shoot this angle. Would have liked to do it just a little earlier. But that being said, I still love this photo. That street light adds such a great ambiance. And my favorite part of the picture, the sign above the liquor store. Everything's burnt out except wine. I mean, it has so much character. I'm really grateful I got to photograph this building before anything on it ever changes. I mean, if they ever fix these signs, or God forbid level the building, that's just going to be sad. So I'm glad I got to expose it on film as it is right now, in all of its glorious, unkempt, unrepaired beauty. Oh, that's it. That's a wrap. Now I just couldn't resist the urge to photograph this liquor store in morning light, because I knew since it was eastward facing, it would pick up some of that sunrise light and kind of shine a spotlight on it. So I went and got this composition, and I think this came out pretty good. I don't think it's quite as strong as the dusk shots, but it has its own mood that looks interesting. But that morning, I also photographed this old rundown house in the really, really early morning light. It's got this single street light next to it, casting these just beautiful shadows across the face of it. And check out that overgrown yard and that dangling trellis. This thing is just dripping with dilapidated goodness. All right. Well, that's a wrap, baby. This was a fun one. You know, I don't often go out and photograph a single subject all day, so this was kind of fun. A different change of pace than I'm used to. But, you know, as always, thanks for coming along with me on this trip. You know how much I appreciate you. See you next time.